Welcome to The Source with your host, Dr. C.T. Curry, and co-host Coby Owens. News all across the nation. The Source. Stay in the loop in the city of Wilmington, Delaware. Work together for change in the community. A call to action to find the resources. The Source, the latest in news.
Good evening. This is Dr. Curry.
This is Coby Owens.
And welcome to The Source. Coby, it has been phenomenal and that we are reporting week after week for right now, and I'm hoping that it continues, that there were no reported shootings that we are aware of. We haven't even heard anything through the grapevine because at one point there was no reported shootings in the paper, but there was a whole lot of them that weren't reported, but we're not even hearing it in the street. So we are very grateful for whatever is happening. I hope that it continue to work. And as a matter of fact, something I did hear on the street I wanted to bring up to you today, and that is they're saying that Pokorny is trying to say that there's no shootings and no violence right now because of his work, but now they're starting to take fruition. Do you believe that?
No, absolutely not. He had 8 years to do something about this. This is, again, the whole model has changed now with a new administration that is actually looking to engage with the community more, and be there as a partner of the community, not just a force of punishment and stuff like that. So again, the failed practices of Mike Pokorny are out the door, and hopefully we keep going on this route. Now, again, summertime is right around the corner. We all know that's usually the worst time of the year, but for these first 3 months, it has been a very quiet 3 months.
Well, even with the first 3 months of the last year and the year before, the years that was there, it was a lot of shootings going on.
It was, yes.
So for it to be where we are right now, we know that in the summertime, sometimes people get a little bit more feisty. But for right now, I still think that we are in a very good position because we were reporting many shootings in the city. But I did hear that in the street that some of his people are saying these are the policies that he had put in place, but they're just now starting to come to the front. People love to take credit, don't they?
They really do.
It's really interesting. But one of the things I do want to bring up is your favorite landlord. I always call him your favorite landlord because I think if he can get you, he'll get you. But this guy, now DOJ has reopened the whole case, and there's I think it was a big settlement that they've gone for, and there may be some help with the tenants. What do you know about that?
Yes. So back in December 2024, Attorney General Kathy Jennings went after A.J. Pokorny for being a slumlord, taking advantage of people, and a part of the settlement that was reached was a 6-figure settlement reached in December 2024. And a part of that is restitution to his tenants who were there during that May 22 shutdown of those properties on North Adams Street. Again, he's a property owner who had a ton of properties throughout the city. This is for the May 2022, the city condemned North Adams Street. We heard about 40 people were impacted by that in 27 different units. And it all came because a load-bearing wall had collapsed due to improper maintenance. Former tenants and occupants are entitled to restitution. They have about 60 days. It's probably around like 50 now to fill out the claim form. And again, with the claim form and to qualify to be eligible for compensation, you had to live in the property on May 16th, 2022. So that's the day the city actually condemned the property. Complete and sign the claim form affirming, among other things, that they were tenants in North Adams Street. And then number 3, return the claim to the Department of Justice no later than April 29th, 2025. So next month, on the 29th is the cutoff date. Again, you can go to the DOJ's website to download the form. Or if you have questions, you can reach out to Robert Shisherber at 302-683-88 19117. I am sorry if I butchered that last name.
You did.
I really did. But again, the DOJ is reaching out to the list of clients that they have, or a list of tenants who were there.
Right.
I know this is a list that we also created when we were there on the scene the day of, helping the residents try to get back in their place to get their belongings, because a lot of them were at work or weren't home when the actual shutdown happened.
Yeah, and a couple of things I want to make sure, and for those of you who are watching, you may have relatives, loved ones who were affected by this. And again, we got to remember that date when they shut it down is when they had to have been living there, not already rejected or anything else. But I want to make sure that they get the word, because whatever is due to them, they should get. They had a lot of inconvenience. Mm-hmm. I mean, from having to move out, a spare of the moment, have been placed in hotels. Some people who had to go to family and relatives, and there have been a lot of inconveniences. So please make sure, for those of you who are watching us, make sure that you are communicating this information. Now, I know some people are not savvy with the internet and things of that nature. I wonder if there's any way anybody can print off, and maybe there's a place they go. Now, you did give a phone number, so that helps. So for those individuals who may not be computer savvy and know how to navigate through websites, they can call that number. But I think it's going to be very important. The second thing I wanted to do is, what about all those people that he was collecting application fees for? I guess that's not even a part of this.
No, it's not, unfortunately.
Wow. Shouldn't he go to jail? Shouldn't he go to jail for that?
He should, because he had no intentions of renting them out. That he couldn't rent them out, but he was still taking $50 application fees, and it wasn't just a few. He was getting dozens at a time from online sites and Zillow and Realtor.com, using old pictures that show apartments being open and everything.
Mm. Well, I'm glad that the crook have been broken, and I'm glad the DOJ really went after it. And while he did have some strong ties in the city, it just didn't hold up after that North Adams Avenue situation occurred. So for those of you who have any loved ones or any friends, anybody who you know who were affected by that Adams Street. North Adams Street evacuation situation on May 22nd, you do need to make sure that you tell them there's some restitution that can come to them. We don't know exactly how much it will be, but make sure that the information they're asking you to provide, you are able to provide, so that you'll be able to get something for the troubles and the worries that you went through. The last thing I want to do in this segment is that we've been really following very carefully this whole Delmarva gas situation. I mean, it's just, I've never heard anyone in Delaware a group of people talk about one issue to the level that they're talking about this. This is affecting all communities, not just the poor community, not just the Black community, everybody. So it's still going on and on and on. And I do see that the governor have outlined a plan to address the utility costs, but bringing more transparency and accountability. And my big question always was, what are they going to do about some of the hike that was there? It's all right to say we're going to waive late fees, things of that nature, and it seemed like the governor was trying to address it. But what do you know about that? Yeah, so in a press conference earlier this week, the governor announced his support for 3 Senate bills introduced by Senator Stephanie Hansen from Middletown. And pretty much what he laid out is, one, everyone, they hear you, that utility bills are way too high right now, and that no one should have to choose between paying their electric bill and buying groceries for their family, especially in the current economy that we're in right now, right? So he called for the Senate and the House to pass these bills very quickly. And these 3 bills that look to address that, right? So to answer your first question, Senate Bill 59, which is requiring the Public Service Commission to apply a standard of prudence in considering utility costs, ensuring tax rates don't cover unnecessary wasteful spending by utility companies. Right now, they don't have the power to do that. They have the power to dictate some things, but when it comes to actual utility costs, and that is causing a burden on the residents, they have no power to do that. So you say they, who's the they? The Public Service Commission. Okay. So they're
a commission that has been around for years now. It's currently 5 people on that board. I think there's 2 open spots there. And the governor is looking not only to add an additional person to that board, but also a new public advocate. Our current public advocate is retiring probably in May, and she has been a great ally and aid, but she is retiring, so they are looking for someone else who can be that voice in that between multiple different agencies, but including Delmarva and Exelon as well too. The second bill, SB 60, is preventing utilities from using customer funds for unregulated activities like lobbying, political contributions, capping excessive capital spending by electric distribution companies to control costs. So, what does this bill do? One, no more donating to politicians and federal people and everything, or lobbying, raising our bills so you can lobby so that you can raise our bills even more. Right. No more of that.
Do you think it'll pass? Because that's a good bill.
Yes.
Okay.
It has bipartisan support in the Senate, and I think they're trying to get bipartisan support in the House as well too. But as of right now, Senator Hansen is the primary sponsor, and the other senators on it are Senator Sturgeon, Hustable, Towson, and Hoffner are the Democrats, and Senator Pinckney as well too. And then both the leaders, the leader and the whip of the state Senate are signed on. So Senator Holker and Senator Pettyjohn both signed on as well too. As of right now, no Republican in the House has signed on. So again, this is a huge bill. It also caps the excessive capital spending. If you're raising my dollars in the city of Wilmington to do capital funds, but you're putting those capital projects out in Hocassin and Greenville, that does not benefit me whatsoever. Our lines in the city is still 50 years old. It has not been touched or modified since then. Wow. But yet, over the last 50 years, y'all have continued to increase the funds on me for capital spending. That is not fair. Right. And then again, the last bill is just a public disclosure bill for the votes taken at PJM. And again, PJM is the PJM interconnection is the power grid. And they are the ones who we get our power from. And Delmarva is the one who delivers and distributes it. So again, PJM is the Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland standards for it's an independent system operator. So when we go to PJM to get our rates on how much it will cost Exelon and Delmarva to deliver to us, sometimes those votes are taken in, all those votes have been taken in private. So again, we get the short end of the stick.
So they're going to change it and now they won't be in private?
Yes.
Okay.
They would have to be.
And that's a state regulated situation to me. If you're going to
all the ones that involve Delaware.
State, right? Yeah. Okay.
And other states are also introducing this. So PJM dispatches to 13 other states. So it started with Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Maryland. Delaware, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Michigan, North Carolina, Ohio, Tennessee, West Virginia, and Virginia are all in that now as well too.
Right. Okay, well, that's good. I think that's going to really help us to bring the transparency needed. But it also, when people are voting on stuff, we'll get a chance to see what they're doing in private, and that will change some people's heart. Because some people don't do what's right unless they are exposed or it is exposed to the public. And I think that's really, really important for the time that we're in right now. I want to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to really get into this Coby Corner because I know you got a whole lot to talk about today. There's a whole lot going on in the world around us. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. And we're back. Coby, there's so much going on. I want to get right to it. What's going on in Coby Corner?
Yeah, so as many of you may have seen, there was a speech given to the Congress a few days ago by your president.
Who, the people watching us? Because you ain't talking about me.
But it was a very concerning speech. We've seen over the last 8 years, members of Congress speak out, disrupt, and everything like that. We saw Marjorie Taylor and Lauren Boebert yell and scream at Biden at all four of his State of the Union speeches. But an elderly Black man stood up with his cane and said, after Trump said he was mandated to do what he's doing, stood up and said, you have no mandate to cut Medicaid. And they had him escorted out by the cops.
Well, you know, he's a big Black man. And even though he was elderly, you know, you can't have the Black man doing that. That's scary. He could have caused a bomb.
Representative Al Green.
Yeah.
Would not just sit back down because he wanted to fight for his community, many of those who need Medicaid to survive. Right. And I have to say this because this is why Democrats are so disconnected right now. He should not have been the only one being escorted out of there. They should have never let him walk out of there by himself.
All of them should have just got up.
They should have got up and walked out. Not hold little signs, not, this is not normal. It's not normal. So stop acting like it's normal.
Right.
Speak up and fight back.
Right.
So again, I just want to say hats off to Representative Al Green from Texas.
Yeah.
Texas always is down for a good fight.
Yeah.
But I also want to talk about some of the takeaways from that speech. So Trump, he really boasted about all the things he's done in these first few days, right, of his presidency. And he said, America is back. Back to what? Back to it's either the height of racism, the height of discrimination and hatred towards your neighbor, because that's the only back I'm seeing. Again, we are very divided as a nation right now, and it's scary that Trump keeps pushing this, especially along the racial lines and gender lines, that we need to be divided. His speech was, in my mind, appeal to his MAGA supporters.
Yes, only.
Right, the ultra right, letting them know he's with them, and these are his people, right? That anyone who doesn't agree with him is the radical left. I think he actually called them the radical left lunatics, right? Again, there was a lot of false information.
It was unbelievable. Unbelievable. It was beyond the normal of him.
It was really bad. And, NPR, CNN, they were trying to keep up with the fact checks. But I think at one point in time, they were trying to fact check one thing, and he was already 3 points down, 3 more lies going up. They could not keep up with him. But I do want to highlight a few things. So they keep saying Doge found hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud. But there's been no report, no numbers to actually prove any of that. And then Trump has either changed the number multiple times, depending when he is speaking about how much has been found and what department, even though they're not even searching that department anymore. He also brought up the fact that there's a lot of dead people over 120 years, the oldest being 369 years old, still getting Social Security payments. Social Security has come out and said, no, they are not receiving payments. Their Social Security numbers are just still on a roll because we've never received a death certificate for them. But there is no payments being made out to that person. They've proved that no payments have been sent out in decades. But yet, because these numbers are still on a roll, they are saying that it's waste there. And why do you even care? If someone reaches a certain age, their Social Security should just be shut down. And again, all the numbers that they keep saying they found hundreds of millions and billions of dollars in Social Security fraud, it equals less than 1% of the whole population.
If they were telling the truth, it still would be 1%.
Yes.
Right.
Again, they're saying that the country brought in trillions of dollars from tariffs on China during the first term. That is not true whatsoever. Tariffs have hurt this country, and we just put more out. Well, they put more out there, but during his first term, there was roughly $380 billion worth of goods, but that did not lead to a net profit for us, right? And we cannot operate in a long run of that. Trump also has now raised the number of money that has gone to Ukraine. We all saw the showdown between Trump and the Ukrainian president and J.D. Vance in the White House, and how they treated him, how they degraded him because he was wearing what he wears when he's on the front line of the war, but yet they let Elon Musk come in with a t-shirt and a hat and a trench coat, looking like a sniper, stand next to him and tell the president to be quiet. He's talking, right? Or well, have Elon's son tell the president to be quiet. But Trump lied about the amount of money that actually has gone to Ukraine. He said $350 billion has gone to Ukraine, where the number is closer to $115 billion, which is still a lot. Don't get me wrong.
But he's doubling, almost triple. He's almost triple.
Correct.
And we want to keep that as the issue. Why you have to lie and exacerbate it for no reason?
Trump's ask to the Congress, which is led by Republicans. Both chambers are led by Republicans, so they can get this through. He asked for more money for deportations, another round of major tax cuts for the ultra wealthy. So if you make $260,000 a year or more, you will see a tax cut. If you make less than $260,000 a year, like me,
and me,
you will see more. You will be paying more in taxes. We are still operating under the 2017 tax bill. I just want to point that out. Even though Biden was president, we are still operating under the 2017 Donald Trump tax cuts. They expire this year. So that's why they want to do another round of those tax cuts. They want to enhance police protection. If you harm an officer, if you kill an officer, he wants to put the death penalty on the table.
So what happened to January 6th?
Oh, they were peaceful. They were peaceful.
Hypocrisy. Hypocrisy.
Fighters for democracy. He wants a new crime bill. He is, again, like I said, he's mandating that every state needs to have a death penalty for if someone kills a police officer. Again, the death penalty varies state by state. Currently in Delaware, we do not have the death penalty. There's a constitutional amendment up right now that will completely erase that from our Constitution as an option. He wants to create a Golden Dome missile defense system. Israel has an Iron Dome in response to rockets that are lobbied into their country, but it's much closer to adversaries like Iran and Hamas and stuff like that. He wants one here. Of course, he brought up his gold card.
Yeah, I saw that.
We want to deport people who are paying into our taxes, who are helping us in our economy, our workforce and everything. But if you are someone who wants to come into our country, you can just buy your way into this country. No checks, no balances. If you have $5 million, you get a gold card. You get a gold card. You get a gold card. Again, this is, it's a very dangerous.
Do there need to be an act of Congress to do that? Because when I saw that, I said, this doesn't seem like a president can just do this.
There should be an act of Congress for a lot of this stuff, but we don't.
So he did it under executive order.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's going to try to do it through executive order, and then it's probably going to be fought in the courts. So we will see how it impacts us as a community, and how the General Assembly, or not the General Assembly, how the Congress will try to fight back on that, because that is in their power to do. Next, I also want to talk about this trade war we're in. So outside of him saying that, he's saying America's stronger because all these countries are now respecting us and they want to give us money. I haven't seen that. China stated the other day, and usually I don't quote China, but China said, try us if you want. We ready to go to a trade war. We ready to go to a regular war. Whatever war you want,
that's very language.
We got you.
That's right.
Canada said there is no winners in a tariff/trade war. It's only the citizens of both countries will be hurt. So again, Canada already pulled all our American liquors off their shelves. They did that once. They're doing it again. Why is that such an impact? The number one importer of American liquors is Canada. So now if we can't sell in Canada, that means prices here are going to go up. He's putting tariffs on Mexico. And again, I'm using the liquor because people like liquor. To all my tequila drinkers.
Oh, yeah.
Tequila comes from the agave plant, which is found in where? Mexico. So most tequila comes from Mexico. Those prices are about to skyrocket. But outside of that, you're seeing tariffs being put on, you seeing countries now putting tariffs on us on imports for chicken and poultry, farming industry, or farming industry is going to suffer even more, which is going to lead to higher prices at the grocery store.
Yeah, and one of the things I've learned when you're dealing with this whole tariff situation is that I don't think he or his people are thinking this stuff through. I think they think all I do is slap them with a tariff and then they're gonna have to pay it. But I do believe it's the people who will pay. What really got me is when the Chrysler dealer owner was on CNN and he brought up that he had already sold a car that cost $80,000 to a client. And this client had the car, it's on order. By the time the tariffs, if they was going to play, it would be another 25%, which is another $20,000 on that 80. Do you think that client is going to buy $100,000 a car that cost $80,000 at one point?
Nope.
So they're going to lose money. But see, that's how you can tell that he did none of his homework. And that's how you're going to tell none of the stuff is going to work. He really just don't care about chaos. I think he likes chaos.
He does like chaos. In Canada, they're announcing that $100 billion worth of American goods will have additional tariffs slapped on them over the next 21 days, right? China already put a 15% on an array of American farm exports. Again, chicken. Who does that affect? Delaware. Delaware in Sussex County, we produce more poultry than any other county in the world. That's going to hurt us the most. Pork, soy, beef, wheat, all of it, right? Florida, oranges, right? So again, this is really going to hurt us. And like you just said, we've already seen the price increases, right? I have two friends who are looking for cars. They were on one site last week, and then they went right back to that site. The cars have gone up. Prices to fit your cars are going to go up. Even American brands, which just means they're headquartered in America.
And that's all it really means.
Most of their plants are not in America no more, right? They were just starting to come back under Biden. But a lot of their plants are in Canada, in Mexico. Parts to get those vehicles together and assembled are going to go up, and that's going to cost us more as Americans here. So again, that Chevy you wanted, that Ford you wanted, their prices are going up. And those are usually on the cheaper end. Don't even get me started on the luxury cars and stuff like that. So again, this is going to hurt Americans.
Yeah.
Well, I guess us lower class Americans are okay to suffer under, Trump, as long as his million and billionaire friends get their tax cuts.
And I never really paid attention to, I used to always hear Bernie Sanders talk about he wants to do this for the millionaires. I just didn't pay him no mind. I said, this is Bernie making a lot of noise. But now it is becoming a reality that he wants to do all this slicing through government, not for efficiency, but to get the money so that when he puts something across, an agenda across, they will be able to say, you know what, we got the money. Let's just go ahead and give them the tax cuts. And it's going to be for the rich. And they believe in that trickle down theory. And that's which is really the real problem.
Right. And there's no trickle down. That's the crazy part, right? There is no trickle down theory that has happened. Reagan hasn't been president for how many years? And his trickle down economics has never worked, right? So again, going forward, right, and understanding the impact that this is going to have on our community, you're cutting SNAP benefits and then also now getting in a trade war with our exports and imports when it comes to our food, which means those prices are going to either go up even more, right? So now you're going to create even bigger disparities in our community. So again, we have a lot of work to do here as a state. But then also as a nation, we have to do better. And elections have consequences.
It does. But I just don't think that America is paying attention or voting. I think we get angry and then don't vote. That's the problem. Trump is in the White House, not because of who voted for him and who voted for Kamala. It's for those people who did not vote. And I just think, you know, it's going to get worse. And this is how these people continue to win. Because they're loyal.
Next, I want to talk about a company that is looking for a new home called Merck. It's a pharmaceutical giant. And they're looking at the Wilmington area to bring their operations here, their manufacturing operations here. It would be a $900 million manufacturing facility that they would have to bring here, right? And the state is offering to give them $30.2 million in state funds, taxpayer funds, which would be the largest taxpayer-funded grant since Bloom Energy was given a ton of money back in 2011. Merck has not confirmed that they're coming here to Delaware, but business leaders in Delaware are optimistic about this potential. I think it's way too much money to be given out to any company.
How much do they have to invest? Not the state, but how much does Merck have to?
They will go out and get the money. They're a multi-billion-dollar industry, right? They have the money to build wherever they want without blinking an eye. They're only going to bring 375 employees to the state of Delaware if they were to choose here. So again, they would have 20 years to bring 375 employees here. That's not a good win for this community.
Do we have 20 years to give it 30 million?
No, we give that on the front end. But yet, we still haven't funded universal meals. We haven't funded healthcare here in Delaware, right? We haven't funded childcare here in Delaware, something that would actually help the residents, all residents of the state of Delaware, all for a cheaper price tag of what this is right here. But yet, some reason we can give more money to all these private, whether it's the port, whether it's Insight, whether it's Merck, we can keep giving money to these facilities, Amazon, but we can never give money to the small person, even though it's our taxpayer dollars.
Well, you know, we're kind of conservative here in Delaware. We act like we're liberal, but this state has always been, its leadership have always been those who favor on the side of business.
So we have to do something, and we really have to look into when they're going to actually make this decision and how this will impact the state of Delaware's budget. So again, I wanted to make sure I bring that up. And then the last thing I want to mention is the zoning for marijuana. So there was, for city council, we passed a 90-day prohibition on issuing the licenses for marijuana distributor, retail, all of it, all for the 4 different licenses. Now, we are working to get a zoning map done. The next zoning committee meeting is March the 18th. So we're hoping to have something ready to go by that meeting so that we can get something introduced at our March 20th council meeting and then start the process on that. So again, if you care about where this goes, please keep following us. as that date, when they send out that notification, I will share it with y'all if it will be on the agenda for the March 18th meeting or not. That meeting agenda should be coming out early next week.
Okay. Now, a couple of questions I wanted to ask you since you ended on city council, and I'm glad y'all were able to, it seems like y'all moving forward.
Yes.
The overall, how y'all have had several meetings. How are your meetings being run well?
They are. Yes, they are. They're going a lot smoother.
Okay.
Most meetings, just based off the workload that we have, right, are about an hour, but there's not confrontation, right? Okay. It's robust discussion, but it's not personal attacks and things like that.
Yeah, how has the public comment section? Do y'all still have that, or are y'all in the old rules where they can't talk anymore?
So we only have the public comment at the beginning of the meeting. We do not have it on each individual piece. There is a rule change that we're trying to get through that will give the public the opportunity to speak on each individual piece.
Okay, so y'all could have done that when y'all first started.
Yes, but we weren't able to meet as a group, so we've had individuals have had to have one-on-one conversations with everyone to try to get them on board. Okay. I'm not leading that effort, but I think there's about 5 votes for it right now. You need 9.
Okay. Now, how is our city council person Cabero doing now that all her people are pretty much gone? How's she coming?
She's been very quiet.
Okay.
She's still the chair of the Community Development and Urban Planning Committee. But outside of that, she hasn't really introduced anything yet. She's done a few resolutions just acknowledging community members, but there's been no major legislation yet.
Okay. And the budget is in the hands of now here the fourth
yes,
Harley. How is things going with the budget?
So good. So on March 20th, the mayor will give his budget address after doing his breakdown and working with WEFAC, which is projecting like what our revenues will be. They'll do their budget, and then we'll have budget hearings. So this will be the first time that Councilwoman Harley will, a Black woman, will oversee the budget process. So, and the vice chair is Councilwoman at Large, Letitia Bracey. Will oversee the budget process. So those will be Monday and Wednesday each week until we pass the budget. So each department has a different day assigned to them as of right now. And we always start with the mayor's office and city council. And I believe that will be that first Monday in, or April the 2nd. Okay. Is when that meeting will be.
Do you think there will be a balanced budget this year?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Because given what's coming from Washington right now, I don't think we need to go into any deficits. Do you know whether or not the police department is requesting any astronomical funds or anything that large?
That I don't know yet. So I won't know exactly what the police department's asking until their individual hearing, unless Carney highlights it in his speech. So he gives the speech on the 20th, and that'll be our first time hearing everything. And then probably by the 27th, we should get our budget books. So we'll be able to go line by line to see what the answer is and why they're asking or to add or take away.
Yeah, and the reason why I was asking you so many questions is because I want to make sure that those who watch us faithfully every week get an opportunity to feel what normal feels like in city council. And I've been hearing off the record, people are doing what they need to do. They're trying to make things happen. Negativity is going to always be there, one or two, but for the most part, there's no conniving, people trying to kill each other, trying to find a way to support the mayor. And the mayor's office and y'all are working together. Not there's no rubber stamp, but there is a relationship where y'all can have a conversation. If you need to go into the mayor's office, you can go into the mayor's office without there being a major problem. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And that's where a city should function. Even if I disagree with you, we should be able to take care of that. Very good, Coby. And I thank you for all the information that you continue to give us every week. And I really appreciate that. We're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back. And we're back. The last part of our segment, I just want to dedicate it to something that's in the brewing.
Yeah.
The president they're saying that he's getting ready to do an executive order to demolish
Yes.
the Department of Education, which I think is a strong tragedy, even though only a certain percentage of our budget really comes from there. But the percentage of the budget that comes from the federal government is very critical and crucial, especially for underprivileged communities, as well as for communities of people who really need specialized services. Do you really believe he's going to, first of all, it takes an act of Congress to demolish it, am I correct?
Yeah.
So he can do it, but it'll get protests.
So it takes 60 votes. He could get it past the House easy. It takes 60 votes in the Senate to get rid of the Department of Education. But he can pretty much strip it down bare bones through funding and stuff like that. Now, literally not even 3 hours after she was sworn in as the new Secretary of Education. Let me just talk to you for a second about the Secretary of Education right now. Is someone who I actually probably have known their name the longest of anyone in his cabinet, because as a child, I used to love watching their shows, WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment. Linda McMahon, Vince McMahon's wife, billionaires from Connecticut, is the Secretary of Education. She has no education background.
None.
She has no political background other than being the small business administrator under the Trump administration in his previous term. She sent out a memo with the subject line, "Our department's final mission." They are planning as early as, again, we filmed this show early, so it's not live, but as early as 2 p.m. on Thursday, they will be announcing a executive order from the Oval Office, again, removing the Department of Education. This will mainly impact HBCUs and funding for low-income students and things like that. Again, the Department of Education mainly is responsible for distributing federal financial aid, FAFSA. For education, for collecting and dismantling, collecting and disseminating data and research related to schools. They also are in charge of non-discrimination policies. Our Department of Education does not control what's actually taught in schools, just that you cannot discriminate. You can't say, oh, you're Black, you can't come to this school. That's what they're in charge of. It funds the account for less than 10% of all public school funding. Less than 10%. So it's not huge, because that is most school funding. Public school funding comes from state and local taxes, not federal. So again, they're also in charge of the Pell Grant and the Federal College Loan Program. So again, he is trying to get rid of the Department of Education so that they can resegregate schools, so that they can divide our nation even more. And so that they have the matter of right, to strip funding from schools that are in minority communities. And just say, they're failing schools, we don't have to help them anymore. So that they can create an unbalanced education system that has truly never been fixed, because you have people like the GOP who want it to stay broken. So again, in their mind, America used to be number one in education.
In their mind.
But in no point in time, from an international view, can we prove we was number one in anything but racism. It's going to be interesting to see this.
Yeah, and while you certainly honed in on the higher education part of it, which is really devastating for those colleges that are struggling, those colleges, first-time generational college students who are just coming out of poverty and they're able to do well and go to school and get the Pell and the FIA grants. But there's also a lot of programs in the schools that's going to be affected, and the regular schools, like that lunch program.
Yes.
That whole lunch program is very scary because people don't know that there are a lot of children who are hungry. Here at our center, we feed our children our food, and I see, not that their parents are not good people, because they are. We have the best parents in the world, but sometimes they just don't have the money to do certain things, and I think that taking that program away is going to be a problem. But also, a lot of learning disabilities that are funded through the federal government is going to be affected too. So for the people who are watching us, they really need to be paying attention to this. It will have a devastating effect. And Trump is playing with people's lives.
Yes.
And the people who are around him, they all are rich. They're billionaires. They're millionaires. They don't understand the struggle of the common person.
Right.
Trump learned how to learn the language of the normal. Should I say the normal. And he used it, even though he was never normal. He was always rich.
Born with a silver spoon in his, actually a platinum spoon.
Yeah, I was going to say, some people say it was platinum. So I just hope and trust that people are paying close attention. I hope and trust that people will not, continue to believe that, this is just Trump doing Trump. You're going to start feeling it. We're not the only ones who are going to feel it, because I've been watching some of the senators, when they go back, and Congress people to their districts, people are starting to feel it now. But we're going to feel it, and it's going to be felt in a way that we've not used to feeling some of the pain and pressures that's happening. I want to say to all the people, and I'll close our show this way, unless you have anything else?
That's all I have.
I'll close our show this way this week. For every person who's watching me in Delaware, wherever you, YouTube, Facebook, wherever, and you did not vote, you're the reason for this. And I watched people sit on this show. I'm not voting. Disgraceful. Because now when we start talking about, let's do this, let's do that, let's do the other, people want to jump in the front as if we need to fight Trump. But when you give him the power, it's hard to take it away. I want to give credit to Jamal Bryant. I want to just bring it up as the last part of this, because while he went through the struggles that he went through, the man is leading a protest at this point that is starting to work. Yesterday, I did not hear about it to the level that I needed to. I wanted to go into Target to get something that I needed to grab real quick. And as I was ready to go in, I saw some people with some signs there, and they were telling me what was going on. And I said, for real? I knew that they had withdrew their DEI program, but I thought, well, we're not doing nothing yet, so I'm just going to keep moving. When I saw them there, I decided I am now boycotting them, and I think I'm gonna start boycotting others too.
Yes,
because at some point we all need to be talking about it, and we need to get the effect that you just can't run over black people. You can't just run over black and brown people. You have to have a way. We have to have a way to show them that our dollars count, and we spend a lot of money. We can't keep money in our pocket because we just want to spend it. Other people can hold their dollars for years, but we can't. So I'm saying we need to make sure. And he's on that I think it's 21 days they're going to be doing. This do not go to not Walmart. What's the other one? Target. Do not go to Target. I hope that you will buy into that. Let's leave Target alone, and they ain't gonna be the only ones it's gonna happen to. There's others that we're going to certainly start boycotting as well. So if that's all you have today, Coby, that's all I have today.
That's all I have.
Well, listen, we want to take this opportunity to thank all of you who continue to watch us every week. Until the next time, God bless.
Take care, y'all.
You've been watching The Source with host Dr. C.T. Curry and co-host Coby Owens. Tune in every Sunday at 5 p.m. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for the latest episodes.